It's a big night tomorrow night at the Huntsman Center, 1 versus 2. We're all giggling, Dan, because Coach Marsden was just explaining the whole Andre Kirilenko wife situation. But we'll move on. Georgia coach Suzanne Yoklin and Greg Marsden, coach of the Utes, 1 versus 2 tomorrow in the Huntsman Center. A lot to talk about, but I want to ask you both, first of all, just the whole idea of a 1 versus 2. I don't care what sport it is. There's nothing better, but how do you keep your kids? You know, I mean, you've got to keep them settled down and calm down for this, especially when they're on the road. And by the way, it's going to be packed up there.
We can't wait. We're looking forward to it. We compete in front of a packed crowd at home, so we're used to that. But it's only 10,000 people, so this is going to be something really special for us.
Maybe 15,000 tomorrow? Is that
well,
what
we're hoping. We're hoping. There's still some tickets available. We've got a $2 reserve seat ticket people can get. So
come on, Greg. We're worth more than $2.
Coach, I got to ask you something right now about a very interesting article that was in the paper today. Let's just jump right into it. My favorite quote in this whole piece from you, Coach Marsden, he says, "I don't view myself as particularly well-liked by anybody." Now, why is that?
Well, it's just something that I've learned not to worry a lot about. You know, I do the best I can. I try to be a straight shooter. I try to tell things like it is. I try to be fair with people, but I don't sit around and worry about whether everybody likes me or not.
Now, Coach, it also talks about in this piece, and this is where it comes from, a little 1991 incident at your place involving, you know, I mean, let's be honest. Coach Marsden knows how to, and this works in any sport, basketball. You have to intimidate umpires, refs, or judges. Have you put the 1991 incident behind you when he supposedly was
Absolutely.
judges?
I mean, we wouldn't be here if we hadn't put it behind us.
Was that hard?
And I don't think I don't look at Greg that way. I don't feel like it's ever been an intimidation or any of his reactions or emotions are to gain an edge. I've always felt like it was just pure, honest feeling and defense or support of his team. And even if I didn't agree, I could see where it was coming from because the heart is there. To me, it was never to gain an edge or an intent or to intimidate. I never felt that way about Greg ever.
You haven't had any problem putting this behind you, I would assume. But let me ask you this. Is gymnastics judging still biased to home teams, especially with big crowds behind them?
Well, I think we've come a long ways with that. We've got a new assigning system so that coaches aren't involved with hiring judges and determining who's going to be at their events anymore. So I think that's helped things a lot. And I don't think I think the home court advantage is your fans and your comfort, you know, in the surroundings and with the equipment. I don't think it's so much the judging anymore.
Do you still stand right behind him? Okay, I'll move on.
No, I go up the tunnel now.
You didn't ask me that question.
Yeah,
I'm just
when
kidding.
you're on the road, will you make your way?
All
right, so everyone's going to behave themselves tomorrow. We'll let the girls take care. Oh.
We won't promise that, will we?
No,
okay.
We have not promised that.
You know, Coach Marsden has turned a gymnastics event at the Huntsman Center here into a show. Right. I mean, it is like, I mean, there's music playing.
Right.
Do you like that style?
I love it. I love it. I feel like, you know, sometimes fans will be critical of different arenas' productions and say, you know, oh, this is crazy, this is distracting, especially in the SEC. You know, we have the gator chomp in our face and, you know, things like that. And you go to UCLA, they've got their football team dressed up in costumes and running up and down. And, you know, I just feel like anything anyone wants to do to make it a production, go for it. As long as the safety of the athlete is kept in mind and there's not anything done that's inappropriate or that could affect safety, I'm like all for it being a production. That's part of what our sport is. Yeah.
Let me ask you both about each other's team's concerns. He's got the #1, I believe, Jashley's #1 on the beam in the nation right now. What worries you about Utah?
I thought Courtney was.
I think Courtney's on bars and all around, isn't she?
Oh, well, there you go. He's just got them all.
I don't know. I don't know. We're close. He's got Ashley. We have Courtney.
Right.
Both world medalists.
A U.S. team, yeah.
Yes, yes.
What worries you most about his group?
Well, I think that I know that they're really fired up to beat us. I think that they're probably going into it. You know, when you go in the #2 team, you don't I don't think you have as much to lose just because you're the #2 team. You can be
posture.
less tentative and go for it. You know, we do have the #1 ranking at stake in terms of pride, and we were national champions last year too.
Right.
So, you know, the target on our back is really big right now. But we love that. You know, we want that. We wouldn't be happy if we weren't #1. We like being #1 and having that big target, and we realize that, you know, this is a big competition for both of us. And regardless of the outcome, we're both going to come away from this meet a better team.
Coach, what worries you about Georgia?
Well, they're very talented. They're very deep, and they've got a great tradition. And I know it's part of their goal this year to go undefeated. And to do that, they've got to go through us. So you know, we've got to be ready tomorrow, and I think we will be.
You know, one of the things that impresses me about gymnasts, and I don't think a lot of people realize this. First of all, you always seem to have, there's a boot or a brace on somebody. They seem to be getting, you know, but they seem to play hurt. They're willing to play. These are tough kids, aren't they? I mean, they look small, diminutive, but they are tough. I mean, you're battling some injuries right now, Nicole.
Well,
has been hurt.
She dislocated her finger last week in practice, and is going to, you know, she wouldn't miss this meet for anything. So she'll be there and go all around and give it a shot.
She was one of the ones that was fired up last year when Utah lost in Athens and had some pretty bold statements to make. So we're looking forward to Nicole backing those up. I think she will.
By nature, do you just have to be physically tough in order to be a national, you know, a gymnast that can compete on the national level?
I mean, I think you have to be not just physically tough, but mentally tough. To me, it's a mind game as much as anything. And when you have injuries, you always do, and you always have aches and pains, and everyone has something wrong with them, so no one wants to really hear about it. So there's where the mental toughness comes in.
There was one last comment in the article today in which one of the gymnastics coaches from UCLA had made the comment that she feels Greg Marsden, and this is the part we're going to put him up on a pedestal for a moment, if that's okay.
That's fine.
Has done more for the sport than anyone. What do you think about his over 25 years here at Utah and what he's done for gymnastics?
Well, I mean, he has done more than anyone else. There's no question about it. He's been the leader in every way, from championship teams to filling the arena to just being involved now with internet and the things that go on the internet in terms of just exposure for gymnastics in general, not just Utah. Greg's the leader in all those areas. As a matter of fact, we just wrote a book, the first college gymnastics book, and Greg was the biggest contributor of any of the college coaches in the country in my book. So that's unusual, but just very involved and willing to help in any way to increase the exposure of gymnastics nationwide.
We understand he's an internet junkie, but does all the work himself on the website. 21.
Well, and I want to say this. It's nice that I'm considered one of those people, but here's another one as well as Sarah and Valerie. Yeah, you know, everybody's contributed to, you know, they're getting the same numbers we are in terms of attendance.
Right.
They're chasing us, and I know she's determined to pass us in terms of championships, and so a lot of people have worked hard to make women's gymnastics what it is.
21 out of 24 years you have led the nation in attendance, and tomorrow I know you're expecting another good crowd. Appreciate you both being here.
Thanks.
Behave yourselves.
Thank
I know you
for
will.
inviting me.
But it's very nice to have you both here. Suzanne Yocklin, Greg Marsden. Tomorrow night, 1 versus 2.